I'll mental note this.
Just
All
wait
right.
for the real stuff.
I'll write it down.
Hey, Heath, I know 3 preseason games is not the biggest body of work, but there's a stat, or there's a website where you can get special team stats for the preseason. You guys led the NFL in average return, kickoff return, and you were the only team in the top 10 in kickoff return defense and kickoff returns. So does that tell you that you guys made pretty good progress on the understanding of this rule?
I hope it. I hope that's the case. We worked really, really hard all off season with studying, getting feedback from players, out there on the field, just actually doing trial and error type stuff, and then obviously getting it into the preseason and seeing what it looks like on a real game and real live full speed action. You get more test out of it and more knowledge to it. So I'd say we did a pretty good job, what we could learn from it. But I think the regular season is going to be completely different. Every team's going to have a lot of wrinkles that they've held back, as well as us. So I think it's a great sign, but it doesn't mean any factors necessarily of where we're headed come this week, really.
Has it generally looked how you thought it would look? I mean, the kick. I'm not sure what I mean by that, but I mean, have you been surprised by anything, or has it looked how you thought?
No, I think it's just it was so new that nothing looks familiar to me, I guess would be the best way to say it. I think the schemes are different. Some of the concepts are different, but it still goes back. We're still using the same techniques that we've always used. What we believe in as a philosophy on kick return and kickoff, we're still using those same terms and techniques. So we're still trying to do a lot of the same stuff. Now we have to tweak some different stuff with it. But for the most part, it's kind of what I thought. And like I said, but we're going to have a lot more tests coming up in the next, the next 4 weeks or so of things that I think I know. But there's going to be some unknowns, and how do we handle those things, and how do we adjust to those things? So, because there's a lot of unknowns. I'm looking across the league at teams' kick returns and even kickoff schemes, and there's things I haven't even shown them. So we're learning as we go across the league, just like everybody else is doing. Everyone's doing the exact same thing. So yeah, I think we're gonna learn so much every week.
So touching on those unknowns, with the fact that across the league the average is around the 28-yard line so far, and that's just what we've seen. Any thoughts that when the regular season starts, they're just going to kick it out of the back of the end zone, just give you that extra yard?
Yeah, and I think that's a good possibility that happens. And I think it depends on scheme, philosophy as an organization. It also depends on returners. If I like our returners, there's a good chance teams would be willing to do that. I hope that's not the case. I'd love to to cover some kicks. I'd love to get the returns going as well. So that's the exciting part. That's what we want to see. That's what the fans want to see. That's what we want to coach. That's what we love. That's what we love to do. That's why we're here. So we're hoping that's not the case. But I think because that drive start is out there at the 28-yard line, teams potentially could do that.
Do you feel good about Cam Little's command of the kickoff, with the new rules? His ability, if you say, we want to get this one out of the end zone or we want to get this one inside the return area, his command of being able to do that?
Great command for it. He has great control, the ability to go directionally in both directions, as well as sprinkle in some of these other alternative kicks, as well as bomb them out the back of the end zone on command pretty well. So talented leg strength, the ability to do all those different kicks, and very talented kicker that is a worker, that is willing to work at it and get better every day. And so those are the things he does all the time, and very confident where he's at.
How excited are you for that first field goal for the rookie?
Very excited. I think it is to see that first one go through for him will be a great, be a good feeling for him. But the thing about Cam, nothing wavers. It hasn't since the moment we drafted him. The funny thing, you look back at that preseason, the first kick we sent him out there is a 62-yarder, and we didn't even think twice about it. We just said, yeah, go for it. He wanted it. Let's see what it looks like. He unfortunately missed it, but he hadn't wavered since then. We haven't seen any different from him. So confidence with him and himself is tremendous, and we have just as much or more in him. So again, nothing but I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see him out there.
Have you delved into Miami a lot this week?
Yes, I have.
Okay. They got speed all over. Is that going to be true of their return game?
Yeah, and we don't know exactly who they're going to put back there. That's part of the unknown of who they're going to put back there week one. But they have so much speed at all positions. They'll have good returners back there. They always do and always will. So we could see any of those guys, to be honest with you, but they're all good. Braxton Berrios is on their roster, and he's been a Pro Bowler and All-Pro. So they got him, and they got some of those good receivers as well that potentially could be back there.
Circling back to Cam, you attempted the 62-yarder in the preseason. What, in the regular season when the games are live, where is that range that you think you maybe will feel comfortable based on what you've seen in the practice fields with him?
I mean, he has great leg strength. So, I mean, I think those longer kicks of 62, 63 yards are possible. And that's a credit to him. I think it's also when you get down to those right before half situations where it's essentially a longer kick and you're willing to do that, you could see some of those longer kicks. When it's a normal first quarter, field goal, you potentially are not going to send him out there for a 62-yarder, but that's just league-wide. You'd obviously play a little more conservative and probably punt that or go for it on fourth down.
You're not going to have Dewey for a while, and Daniel is still out. Who's going to be in those spots on coverage? And right now, punt and kickoff, how do you feel about where you are?
Yeah, I mean, losing Dewey was tough. We're hoping to get him back soon. I know he's out for a bit, but he's in all the meetings and super helpful as far as leadership that he's always brought. Daniel Thomas has been out as well. Daniel's a great player for us. We are hoping he's able to play this week, and hopefully able to practice starting on Monday is hopefully the goal. We'll see what that looks like next week. But filling in, we have a bunch of good players. Tim Jones has been playing gunner. Jarian Jones has been really, really good. Antonio Johnson is willing to play special teams. So those guys, as much as they play on defense, we have a bunch of guys that are kind of filled in, even starters. I got starters wanting to play special teams for us. Andre Cisco's filling some of those roles. So there's a bunch of guys that are willing to help us, and especially those starters.
Did you have to make any kind of a case to keep Tim Jones when the cut time came?
We love Tim Jones. Tim Jones has been fantastic. He's super consistent, just is in the right place at all times. He's tough, physical. He's a guy that you can match up really well because he's so versatile. He can play gunner outside, play in the vice, but also match a linebacker because he's 215 pounds on the inside on punt return and kick return. So
did you have to lobby Doug to keep more? Did Doug make that?
I think it was an organizational decision. I think would be they like him on offense. He's done a good job over there, and he's been fantastic for me. So I think when you're putting the roster together, I think that's some of the decisions. As special teams is a part of it.
How does a guy like him, a wide receiver, wide receivers want to get out there and catch the ball and score touchdowns. What's in his personality that enables him to park the ego and do what he does for you?
I think that's just that's him. He's a team first guy. He's willing to block on offense. He's willing to catch the ball if they need him to, but he's perfectly fine blocking on offense and doing all those dirty work stuff for me on special teams. So that's just the character he is. He's just again lucky to have him. He's a really good player. That's a big part of what we've been doing the last 3 years, and he's a big part of it.
As far as your return unit, punt return unit, sorry. Do you have any, clarification, confirmation, clarity on who's going to be your returner between Parker Washington, Duvernay, anyone else? I mean,
Devin Duvernay's a former All-Pro. Parker's done a fantastic job for us, but Devin Duvernay's a stud, and he's a great returner from going back to his Baltimore days, and that's who we'll have back there.
Thanks, Heath.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.